here, and in this video basically what we're going to talk about is my introduction to the immersion approach, and sort of AJAT, but my experience doing it with Spanish. So I uploaded a previous video a few weeks ago describing my experience in general with Spanish, and sort of my experience with that, and what I've done, my journey. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. I'm not going to recap it really, but basically I've been doing it since I was 16, just in the last year and a half, or a little bit over a year now. Been getting serious about it. I'd say I started at, a high B2, maybe even low C1 level. I just basically at this point want to improve my comprehension and build my vocabulary. So I just want to go through a few things, how I've used the mass immersion approach, but for Spanish. Let me just sort of break it down here with, this is Matt's site for mass immersion approach. You can go ahead and read about it, but basically it's really heavy on input. So this, again, I'm not going to go through this, but you can go check this out and sort of see what it's about, what the mass immersion approach is, what AJAT's about, how I adopted it for Spanish. I just want to go through a few things. So first, what we have right now is, just get rid of that. What we have right now is this spreadsheet I built, and I've been doing it since a little bit over a year. And what I do is every day I track my active listening hours, passive listening hours, and reading hours. And then here's some goals I have. So I have a little bit over 400 hours of active listening. Total hours of study in the last year, 797. Hours with Anki, which is a SRS for learning vocabulary cards, have about 157 hours. And actually I can sort of show you guys here. I'm going to pull up my Anki, and I can show you my stats in Anki for the last year. I haven't missed a day, 400 days, 157 hours, and I have about 16,800 cards mature. I actually have another 1,000 or so in this retired cards deck, which I don't think gets included in that. So you can see 1,180. So I have about 18,000 cards mature. I was doing about 60 cards a day for about 9 months, kind of burnt out on that. So now I am just doing about 25 cards a day. You can sort of see on there the retention rate was decent, but today I got about 70%. Some days I will admit I kind of just go through it pretty quick. But again, today and recently I've been getting back into it because again, I kind of burnt out after about 10 months of doing 60 cards a day, and then just got a little bit more heavy on the immersion and less on the sort of technical side. Here, this is a repository I built called Word Reference to CSV, and basically what it does is it takes in, for example, this input file, which is a CSV, and it's a CSV, but it's actually colons and not commas, because that's how Anki, you can mass import into Anki, and that's just how I decided to do this. So basically, you can download this node module if you're familiar, know what that means. If you're not, you can ask me in the comments. And you can create this input file, add your words in there, and then you can run it with a node command, and that's how you run the script. And basically, this will actually generate for you an output file, and it'll look like this. It'll have the word, and then the English word rosewood, and then it'll have this hint. Because I'm doing recall, I found that this is a good way to deal with synonyms like P, and then it'll have the word palisandro, right? Or roof, techo, or whatever it is, dampen, moisten, H, humedecer, or one more maybe. What do we have? Enriching, rewarding, E, enriquecedor, right? Something like that. So you can have all these different things in there. Esponjita, encargar. You could have tons of words, and then it'll also generate for you a no results file. So for example, let me think of a no results file. Remilgadamente, which comes from remilgado, which is someone who's melindroso, someone who's very picky, very very selective about, kind of respingón maybe. So yeah, this is good if you want to consult. Generally, a lot of the colloquialisms will fall in here, or a lot of adverbs I've noticed, or maybe some things that are maybe a little bit more pejorative, or just stuff that, is kind of slang, right? I don't know if I can find one right now, but there's definitely a lot of stuff in that, like novelucha, right? Which would be like a sort of a worn out book, or just an old book, right? Something like that, or old novel. But yeah, so that's that. I just want to quickly show Matt vs. Japan's channel. So that's his channel, and he has a lot of good videos on here if you're more interested in it. One good video he has is why you still can't understand your target language. I would recommend that. And then finally, the Word Brain. Word Brain is free to read online, and basically this will sort of go through, if you're like me, you're someone interested in like how many hours do you need to really reach a good level, especially for input and listening. This talks about that. And finally, I'm going to start making weekly updates on my progress, but I just want to go over sort of my goals right now. My goal for this year is actually to reach between 1,000 and 1,500 hours. I'm sort of picking up the pace now. I'm doing generally 2 hours a day of active listening, and I do 20 pages of reading, and it equates out to be maybe a little bit under a half hour. I'd like to eventually consistently bring this up as high up as I can to maybe even 4, but this is kind of tough when you have a full-time job. Let's see what else. For pages read, I want to get up to 15,000 pages read. 10 to 15,000 would be good. I'm at a little bit over 2,000 now, but we'll see. I know this is a little aggressive. I'm hoping to at least hit this goal, though, of 1,000 hours. I think I'm going to be satisfied just because, again, I'm starting at a pretty high level. I'd say, like, at least, super high intermediate, if not low advanced. Probably low advanced. The reason I say that, if you haven't watched my other videos, is I lived in Spain for a year when I was 16, so I did develop a pretty considerable, pretty competent level. Pretty noteworthy. But yeah, so that's my goal. These are all my goals here. If you're interested in this, I can share this in the comments, and just maybe you could copy it as a template. And then here are some good videos from Matt vs. Japan that I sort of try and reference. And then finally, outside of my listening and reading goals for vocab, I'd like to get up to 25,000 words mature in Anki. And lastly, I'm going to go ahead and take the DELE C2 examination to get the C2 certificate, hopefully this coming November. But again, I'm going to make more weekly updates, probably on Sunday from now on, just to sort of add up the total of the hours I did for the week, whatever, difficulties I had, any progressive or gradual improvements that I'm seeing. So, and one thing I'll just make a quick update right now. Actually, no, I'll save it for Sunday. But, all right, guys, let me know if you have any questions, and thanks. I'll talk to you later. Bye.